Life during the 1900s was often harsh and tough for the families of Dublin 8. Nevertheless, the children that lived and played in the shadows of Guinness's brewery were treated with warmth and affection by the employees. For many kids, the brewery was the playground and the scene of many adventures.
I'm Josie Sheehan. I was born in 6 Thomas Court, and I went from Thomas Court, it was the artisan dwellings, when we thought we were posh, down to Grey Street. In the winter there's a hot plate out, it was a hot plate in Crane Street, and in the winter we'd go up there maybe after school and we'd sit on the hot plate and tell stories. It was great. That was the winter. It was all up around Crane Street, would have been, when I lived in Thomas Court, our playground. Rainsford Avenue, Crane Street, lots of things, like we'd get the Guinness rope and make swings on the, the pole, the lamp pole.
This would have been an adventure. It would have been, instead of going into town, you come around this area. As I said earlier, it was always full of activity. You had the horses, you had the trains, you had the boats. So everything was there. You could go up to the harbour, and the section going up towards Inchicore, you could look at that, you could see the swans on it as well. So there was always something to see, something to smell. It was great. It was a city within a city, always activity.
We'd go up to the park, to the Phoenix Park, and of course to make the journey short, we thought it was a great thing to get up on the barrels and jump from barrel to barrel, all along the jetty. And then, the watchman would come out, and that would be my father-in-law maybe, and say, come on, off you go.
I also remember the Guinness's horses and cars in Thomas Court going over the cobblestones. And I remember when it would be icy or snow, maybe the horse would slip and they had chains and they'd be trying. And that was all excitement to us. That was, the horses after falling and the men would be trying to get it up with the big chains and ropes, getting the horse up. Guinness's had lots of horses. The boys had scut those horse and cars. That was another bit of excitement around the place, scutting the horse and cars.
Most vivid thing probably was just literally playing on the street, because again we're talking 1940s, we're talking when there was very few cars. You could draw on the street with chalk and play on that. Also, the North Avenue in those days was a cobbled street all the way from one end to the other. I remember horses and carts going up the North Avenue. We had a shop next door to us, so the bread got delivered by a horse and cart. There were obviously Guinness horse and carts driving up as well.
Getting a skip rope for nothing. The men that would be coming up the road at 5 o'clock, you'd be skipping up with them and you'd ask them for a rope, and they promised you. They couldn't get it very often because they were the ones on the boats, they were the thick ones. They were very thick, and once you got a rope, it would do you for years.
I remember when I must have been young, the fire, I think it was 1951, I was told. I lived in Thomas Court and there was a fire in Guinness's. It had to be the middle of the night because we were all in bed, and they were evacuating people from Rainsford Avenue, and people were getting over the wall. Now, I think they could have walked around, but it was so exciting. And I remember my aunt lived in Rainsford Avenue, and she was very good looking. And I always remember her. I remember her night dress, would you believe? Because it was a satin night dress with T-straps, and the firemen were all helping her over because she was gorgeous. That's what I remember about the fire, and we didn't have to go to school the next day because we were all exhausted. Great excitement, that.